And putting 5 pints of 90 weight in here. 5 pints, 2.5 quarts. Alright, next put the rear shocks in. Okay, so when I put the front end back together, I never put the front shocks in, so here's looking at it from below. This is the lower control arm with the coil spring. Shock goes right in, up through the coil spring. And here's the lower control arm with the coil spring looking up through it. You can see the hole right up there in the shock tower where the stem of the shock, the upper mount, goes into. So in order to be able to pull the shock absorber up into the mounting position to get both bolts through the crossbar of the shock, you got to jack the suspension up into the normal ride position. That'll get your lower control arm in more of a horizontal position so you can get the bolts through and you can get the bolts started so that you can tighten the shock up into position. So I don't remember having a hard time getting the Swaybar over this core support bracket when I took the Swaybar out, and I think the reason was I was able to take the bushings off to get the bar out. The bushings were split, and I can't really tell if that's something that came from the factory like that, or if somewhere along the line somebody replaced these bushings, and rather than take the Swaybar out to replace the bushings, they just cut them so they could slip them over the bar and make for an easy install. And I can certainly see somebody doing that. But in any case, I went ahead and put the bushings on the bar before I installed the bar, and that made it a little difficult to get it over this core support bracket. And between the core support and the radiator, there's very limited space. It did go in easier from the passenger side. I'm going to leave everything loose till I get the other side lined up to make sure the sway bar is centered. Got the same amount of margin right here on both sides so that it's centered. And then I'll tighten everything up. So in order to get these bushings to line up and go into the sway bar nice and square, I'm going to use a jack under the tire and raise it up and get it closer to being in the normal ride height. That'll just help me get them to seat properly. Alright, so that's about it for now.